It turns out that we are actually only 5 Scouts Patch videos away from finishing the whole series. We have the Boston Basher video, which is this one, the Sun on a Stick, the Fan of War, the Atomizer, and the Rap Assassin, and then we are finished. This series has been going on for years, and I am so glad that we are finally close to seeing the end of it. As much as I've loved it, I really want to just focus more on the Soldier Stash series, because that series for me right now is really fun. So as I said today, we are going to be talking about the Boston Basher or the 3-ring blade, depending on which one you want to use. They're both exactly the same thing. So the Boston Basher is a melee weapon for the Scout, and it is described on the wiki as a blood-stained wooden club with spikes and reinforced metal bands, which sounds pretty cool. You can get the Boston Basher in unique, strange, and collector's quality, and you can get the 3-ring blade in unique and genuine quality. So the Boston Basher is a little bit different to the default bat, and that is mainly in the fact that when you swing with this weapon, if you hit an enemy, you give them a 5-second bleeding effect, but if you miss, you hit yourself, damaging yourself, and also giving yourself the same bleed effect. This means that you should probably be fairly careful while using this weapon, because you could just end up killing yourself with it, which wouldn't be good. So it turns out if you hit yourself, you will actually only be doing 58 damage, while if you hit another enemy, then you're going to be doing 75 damage. And that is with the initial hit damage and the bleed effect added together. And I know 58 damage doesn't really sound like a whole lot, but that is a big chunk of your health as a class that only has 125. So, you know, if you swing a few too many times and you miss a few too many times, then you could definitely end up draining your own health quicker than the enemies are draining your health. So you can actually swing the Boston Basher at a wall or a teammate and not take the self-inflicted damage, though, which is actually fairly handy. I quite like that. Another thing is that when you crit swing with this weapon and you miss, you don't actually deal crit damage to yourself. You take the base damage and the base bleed damage, which means that you won't pretty much be killing yourself straight away in one swing that you've missed by accident. So that's very nice. Imagine if it actually did do crit damage to you though. You swing it, deal 105 damage, and then bleed to death before you can get to a health pack. That would be insane. Insane in a bad way. I don't want that to be a thing. So the base damage on the Boston Basher is 35, however the bleeding effect is 8 damage a second, meaning that if you get the full 5 seconds bleeding effect on an enemy, you will be dealing another 40 damage per hit, so to make it 75, like we said earlier. A critical Boston Basher hit will be 105 damage, like I said earlier, and a mini crit will be 47 damage, which again is pretty decent. With the extra 40 damage from the bleeding, then you're dealing a good amount of damage with this weapon, if you hit them. So I know that the aim of this weapon is to hit the enemies and make them bleed, but there is actually an advantage to hitting yourself with this weapon, and the main fact is that you can always help a medic build up their uber charge by hitting yourself with this while they're healing you. It's the same thing like a soldier would do if they keep rocket jumping themselves or hitting themselves with splash damage while with a medic. So the Uber builds faster because they're healing damaged players, and you get to build your Uber much faster while being safe and healed at the same time. This does help the medic out quite a lot, unless you actually start swinging and the medic just kind of looks at you and doesn't heal you. I'm not sure when that would happen or if that would ever happen, but it is TF2. You got to understand that things like this could happen. You never know. I've been screaming next to medics before, on fire, waiting for them to heal me, and they look at me and watch me die. So it wouldn't surprise me if they're looking at you, swinging a Boston Basher, and then letting you die. Medics are weird sometimes, man. You can also get an extra jump out of this if you swing it properly while you've double jumped. So if you wanted to try and reach an area that was just out of your way, then swinging as you've done your second jump will also let you do an extra jump, which, yeah, is useful, but I don't know how often I'd use it, because then I'd always want to run to a health pack straight away. I don't know. That's just me, though. I actually use the 3-ring blade a fair bit in my loadouts, and I do enjoy using it. However, I don't use it as a weapon to run in with and start swinging at everyone to try and get a whole bunch of kills. I use it more as like a backup item, or if I'm really in someone's face, I'll pull this out and swing a few times. If I wanted to maybe save a scattergun bullet because there's other enemies there, that is the reason I would use this weapon. Normally, I don't use melee weapons all that much, especially not a scout, but this weapon does have a lot of chances to be quite useful. And then if I'm not actually fighting people and I do have a medic on me, I'll just be swinging the 3-ring blade or the Boston Basher to help build Uber, which, you know, is what you want when you've got a medic on you. I mean, either way, my opinion on this weapon is that it is really fun to use. It's sort of like the weapon you use if you're taking Scout a little bit more seriously, and maybe you're trying to get into comp and you've read that the Boston Basher or the 3-ring blade is good because it helps build Uber. Like, that is the kind of like transitional weapon almost I feel like this thing is. But at the same time, people could be using it in pubs. It's not a competitive only thing, and I don't know if it's even allowed in 6s. I could be wrong. I feel like it is though. But yeah, personally, I really enjoy using this weapon. Most of the time I have a 3-ring blade equipped in my loadouts, and I have a lot of fun using it, especially getting bleed damage on enemies that are trying to run away and they die just before getting the health pack. It happens to me all the time, so seeing it happen to somebody else for once is really, really nice. So anyway, thank you all so much for watching the video. I hope you all enjoyed it. If you did, please make sure you leave the video a like and also subscribe to the channel if you're new. I'm trying to hit 75k fairly soon here, and I'm trying to hit 100k by the end of the year. If we gain 4,000 subscribers a month or something like that, we should actually be able to hit it. So if you're not subscribed, please subscribe. It will help me out a lot. This goal is something I've been working towards since starting YouTube, which is insane. Anyway, thank you all so much for watching. I hope you all enjoyed it. Go out and try the 3-ring blade. I'd highly recommend it. Or the Boston Basher, whatever. And yeah, I'll see you all next time. Goodbye.